What's going on YouTube? So the Ford Explorer has long been one of the best-selling family SUVs in America. And last year, Ford elevated this model significantly with a big refresh. Now today, we're with the latest 2026 example, which has even more tweaks, including some significant equipment changes and a brand new trim. So, is this long-running nameplate the one that you should put in your driveway over rivals like the Traverse and Grand Highlander? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So to start off this review, let's take a look under the hood and have a quick spec dump. So you'll find two different available powertrains on the Explorer for 2026. This is the 2.3-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with 300 horsepower, and you can also get up to 400 horsepower with a V6. It's paired to a 10-speed automatic transmission. We have all-wheel drive, and our combined fuel economy is 23 mpg.
Now, the base price of the Explorer for 2026 is about $38,500, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, later on in this review, we'll be taking this out for a spin, as well as getting some signature elements like our sound level reading.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood because we need to take a look at the exterior, interior, and talk about those 2026 changes. So jumping into the exterior, like I already mentioned, Ford refreshed this for 2025, and they extensively changed up the front design. Each of the trims is going to have a little bit of a different character in terms of what you see visually. Today we're with the ST line, which gives you this sporty black mesh grille, making it look like the higher performance ST trim level, and you also have Explorer branding up top. Now, I want to talk a little bit about some new trim additions for this 2026 model year. So first of all, on the base end, Ford now has a 100A version of the active base trim level. That is going to lower the price point of the Explorer a bit lower for 2026, although of course you have a little bit less equipment. We'll talk about that later on. Maybe bigger than that, though, is that for the very first time, the Explorer now has a trimmer trim. So this is going to be your off-road capable version. And this has a lot of cool details, including a little bit higher ground clearance and completely different styling that matches with other trimmer models like Expedition and the F-150. Now, let's move over here to our lighting. As you can see, we have full LED reflectors. That's standard on all models. You also get an adaptive LED if you get the fully loaded Platinum, and your LED turn signal indicator up there at the top. The ST line and above will give you LED fog lights. As far as the wheels are concerned, you have choices between 18 and 21-inch alloys, depending on which trim level you have. This ST line has a 20-inch contrast alloy wheel, which I think looks quite nice overall. The new trimmer model, that has an 18-inch alloy, and it's wrapped in all-terrain tires, giving you additional capability beyond the extra inch of ground clearance. That is 8.7 inches total. We also have a little bit of cladding through there, ST Align branding, and as far as our mirrors are concerned, gloss black finish up here, blind spot monitoring and heating are standard features on all models, and you can also get the luxury features of auto dimming and power folding on the Platinum trim.
At the side, you're going to have an overall length of about 198.7 inches, which is shorter than some of the other options in this segment, especially if you're looking at things like the Traverse or the Grand Highlander. But you do have this really nice and sleek rear profile because this Explorer is built on a rear drive platform, which is certainly unique for this segment. Now, as far as any design elements here on the side, you do have darked out finishes for this model. You do have roof rails as well in a dark finish. Just know that the new 100A model will remove those. And then you can also option on a black roof on the Platinum and the ST. Just get ready to shell out almost $5,000 for it. But as we move around to the rear here, you continue to have some of those refreshed elements that Ford added for the 2025 model year. It's really builds on the overall Explorer look that we've gotten used to, but I think we have some nice changes here. Let's talk about your elements. You have a spoiler up here at the top as well as a rear window wiper. You have this black bar that connects your taillights with some dark branding on all of your models, and that connects your taillights. So let's talk about those. You're going to have a full LED unit on all models. So you have your brake light and your turn signal indicator, as well as your reverse light right here. The ST and the trimmer models will add some darker trim finishes for your taillights as well to give it an overall sportier look. Now moving down to the bottom, you have a dark fascia down here for the ST line in the ST and the trimmer as well. And then all models will come with a standard tow package and it's rated for a maximum of 5,000 pounds. I do also want to mention you have a new color for 2026. Ford is adding Marsh Gray, which is a little bit more of a rugged finish. You can see that on the screen right now. But as far as your safety is concerned, Ford is including all of your active safety features as standard equipment on all models. Now, you can also get Blue Cruise, and it's the newest version, 1.4. It's optional on the ST line here and above, and you can also opt to purchase it one time only instead of worrying about a subscription. The 1.4 version really just kind of smooths things out even more, makes sure you stay in the lane even better, and helps improve staying hands-free for longer amounts of time. But there are a few changes here on the interior that we do want to talk about, but first,
if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from our long-term vehicle videos to our side-by-side comparisons, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. Moving on to the interior, here's our Ford key fob. It's the typical key fob. You have a standard smart entry system and then the remote start system that starts here on the ST line trim. Getting inside, just grab behind the handle. That will unlock the door. And then let's check out this interior. As you can see, you have a pretty nice looking cabin, even on this more affordable priced model. And let's get into some of those individual details. I'll begin by talking about the seats. So the standard active trim, that starts with a cloth seat. When you get to the ST line, that gives you a leatherette trimmed seat. So you can see we have a dark finish to our cloth in the center section, and then all the outside edges here are finished in a leatherette. It's black, and we also have the exclusive red stitching details. The new trimmer, that comes with Active X, so it has a different kind of seat design, and then you can get real leather on the platinum trim level as well. And by the way, we did do a little walk around of that trimmer model on our channel already. If you want to check that out specifically for that model and see what that looks like visually. Now, as far as the seat adjustments, we've got a 10-way power adjusting seat, 2-way lumbar support. You can upgrade these seats by going up the trim structure. That will also include the massaging abilities if you get the platinum trim, or also optional on the ST or the trimmer. And then memory seats will be offered as well on your higher end examples. But let's climb on inside. Shutting up the door, let's look at the rest of the cabin materials. Like I mentioned, this is one of the more affordable trims, but I'm happy to say that we've got pretty much the same quality materials as other higher end examples, including leatherette across our armrest and all through the center section with a stitching detail. We have a faux aluminum trim that runs through the center section and soft touch plastic at the top. As we move to the upper dashboard, this is all finished in a soft touch plastic. Last year, Ford added this new kind of sound bar look that goes all across the dashboard. We have more of that aluminum-like trim through there and leatherette that's wrapped around all the areas where you might touch frequently, including the console. It feels nice and solid as well. Let's fire it up now with the standard push-button start. And one last materials note I failed to mention just a second ago. The Platinum Ultimate package has been reconfigured for 2026. It's now the leather package is what Ford refers to that on the Platinum as, and that's what's going to give you those extra bougie interior details that kind of make the Explorer almost Lincoln level. Now, let's dive into some individual details. We'll start with the gauge cluster. We've got a full digital 12.3-inch cluster. This is standard on all models, and you can reconfigure it with a few cool designs, including Google Maps View. Now, just be aware you cannot get a head-up display, though, on the Explorer, no matter which trim you select, and there are certainly a few rivals that offer that at this point. Now, coming back to the steering wheel, ST line gets the real nice sport design steering wheel, just like the full-blown ST. Flat bottom design, thick rim. I definitely like this a lot. This is manual tilt and telescoping, though, on most of your models, except for the high-end examples, and heating is on all but the base model. Now, let's take a look at interior storage, because of course you don't get a 3-row SUV if you don't need a lot of storage, and here we are. Inside of our console, we've loaded it down with donuts because, of course, that's our logo, and that's how we check the volume of the console and compare to the competition. Today we have 17 donuts inside, so it definitely passes the donut test. Doesn't quite get to the maximum of 2 dozen, but it's certainly a good performance because it's quite deep. Now you have a little bit of storage right there in front of that as well. 2 cup holders, a big old storage bin, which is very deep, and some USB connections. And then you got a large storage shelf there as well. And this would be where the wireless phone charging pad is located on the Platinum trim and above. Taking a look at our shifter, it's your traditional Ford rotary style. So just twist over to D for drive. No paddle shifters on the ST line. And then when we go into reverse, you'll see a nice feature that's included on almost every single version of this Explorer, and that's the 360-degree camera system. Certainly nice with a 3-row SUV to have the extra views. So you've got that traditional view as well as your overhead view, and you can switch some different angles over there. And you also have rear parking sensors on this model. Back behind that, you have your electronic parking brake, and you also have a brake hold system, and there's your drive mode controller. As we rise up the dashboard, the next place we come to is this row of buttons and also our big old volume knob. Let's talk about the audio system. So 6-speaker sound system is what is standard on the Explorer. That's just on the active trim levels. And then when you get up to the ST line, that's where you get a 10-speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system. Let's give that a sample right now. Very nice. Like we said last year with our Explorer reviews, these Bang & Olufsen sound systems really sound super nice. They fill up the cabin very well and have a good balanced sound quality. Now, you heard me say sound systems. That's because I didn't mention earlier there is actually a higher tier Bang & Olufsen with more speakers for your Platinum trims and above. All right, let's dig in to our main display system. So last year, Ford completely changed this up to a new 13.2-inch display. That's standard on all models. This also has their latest and greatest software. And inside of the system, you have your climate controls at that bottom level there. This is a standard 3-zone automatic climate system. You can adjust the temperature by just tapping there, or you can also use the little slider like so. Other functions are going to be located right there with the arrow. Now, in this area, you'll notice that we have heated seats. That's because heated seats are included on almost every single version. That's actually something I want to point out, though, is for 2026, that new 100A Active, that's one of the features that it does miss versus what was previously standard is heated seats, but every single other version has heated seats. And of course, you get ventilated seats at the Platinum version and above. Now, with the new software system, Ford has integrated Google Apps built into it. So natively, you have things like Google Maps, Google Assistant, and the Google Play Store. Everything is nice and responsive. We've lived with a few Fords with this system, and it is quite nice. Also, you have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay abilities and things like YouTube. Up top, this more affordable model has a manual dimming mirror. Auto dimming mirrors are, of course, offered with HomeLink remotes located up here on the visor. As you can see, we do not have a sunroof on today's model, but a panoramic one is offered across the lineup.
Now, the Ford Explorer is a family SUV at the end of the day, so let's talk about your rear seat features and space. Let's start with those individual specs. You're going to have about 38 inches of legroom and about 40 inches of headroom as equipped on this model today. Now, that is a little bit behind some of the competition. You know, this is shorter, as we discussed at the side, but overall, these seats are going to be pretty spacious, and I did bring the Car Confections ruler to put that to the test. So once I measure out behind Drew's 5'8" driving position. I'm 5'9". I still have about 9 extra inches of knee room, so really plenty for everyday use. Now, these seats can also slide almost all the way forward and backwards, and they do recline quite a good bit. I have an armrest right here, so overall these are really comfortable for road trip duty. As you can see with the seats, as configured today, we do have the captain's chairs. That's standard on almost every single model except for this ST line. So we do have them optioned on today. If you would like a bench, you can option it onto every trim level except for the trimmer. And that is a new addition to the ST this year. Formerly the V6 ST model couldn't get the bench seat, now it can. So overall seating capacity today is 6. When it comes to other features throughout the cabin, you are not going to be left disappointed. You do have your branding here in the middle, as well as your climate controls that starts here on the ST line and above. You do not have heated rear seats as equipped today, but you can get them on the higher models. You have 2 USB ports, as well as a 12-volt outlet, and some cup holders that fold down right here. You do have vents up in the ceiling here as well, which is nice to have them kind of above and more focused on the occupants. And let's look at your door trim. You're gonna have a pretty nice one back here. You have soft touch material up on the top, more leatherette through the center with the same trim piecings that you do have in the front. Leather wrapped armrest with stitching detail. You also have a cup holder up in front of the window switch itself, as well as tons of bottle storage down at the bottom as well. So you're gonna have plenty of space to store all of your drinks. Now let's move back even further to check out the third row. So to get back there, you do just pull that lever on the seat and then just push it forward. Do note that the seat back does move, so you will have to remove a child seat. But once I climb back here, overall the space is going to be pretty decent. As far as the specs itself, you're going to be sitting at about 32 inches of legroom, about 38 inches of headroom. The headroom feels really nice. The legroom is a little bit lacking. I did bring the ruler back here, but I do not have any additional knee space with the seat scoot all the way back. And overall, the thigh support is going to be pretty lacking. These seats are mounted pretty low to the floor, which allows for all that headroom, but you do trade it off in terms of thigh support. Now, you do have a few features back here. You have a cup holder here on the side, a little storage cubby, no leather-wrapped armrest on the lower portion. You have a little bit more storage up here, as well as some USB ports that are standard. And as far as how this rates on the third row rating scale, this is not as large as some of its newer, larger rivals, so I'm going to say that this is fit for kids. Now it's time to check out the cargo space. In order to access the cargo area, you do have a power tailgate on all but the very base 100A model, so that is another feature that will be removed with the new package offering. But in terms of your overall space, it's going to be some pretty good figures. Behind the third row, you're sitting at 16 cubic feet. That goes up to 46 when you fold the third row. And overall, you're going to be sitting at a total of about 85 cubic feet of space. So I can access some of those spaces as we fold down the third row here. It is a manual folding one on all but the Platinum and the ST, in which you do get those power abilities. Overall, it's going to be a little bit smaller of space as compared to some of its competitors, such as the Traverse and the Grand Highlander. And if you're curious as to how this does compare to all of its mini competitors, this is a big segment with a lot of rivals. We would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. On there, we have gone through all of the mini competitors in this segment and ranked them on the categories that are most important to you, the mid-size 3-row SUV buyer. That includes things like cargo capacity, technology, safety, reliability, and resale values. So if you're interested in checking that out, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. Now, the second row does not have any handles here in the rear to fold them down, so I will have to do that manually. So here's that overall 86 cubic feet of cargo capacity. And let's go ahead and get out the tape measure to see the overall measurements in case you're planning to haul something specific. So your overall length is about 85 inches long. Behind the second row, scooted all the way back, 47 inches. Behind the third row, 19 inches here. So you get the width, 47 inches as well. That's pretty wide. And then as far as your height, sitting about 34 inches as well, which is pretty good for the segment. And for your load-in, at around 30 inches as well. Now, as far as any other features, you do have some lighting as well as some outlets back here. And the tape measure just fell into the nice spacious area below here. And if I lift up this floor, you do have a spare tire. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2026 Explorer, and in this test drive we're going to be covering a lot of different things, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting things like our signature sound level reading. But first, let's go ahead and start out with a hard acceleration.
right, there we are at 60 miles an hour. Going uphill, I should point out as well.
Yeah, not bad.
Not bad at all. So this, of course, like we've been talking about, is the Explorer ST line. And what this kind of gives you is a little bit of that ST experience, but you don't have the 400 horsepower engine. You've got the standard engine, which is a 2.3 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. This still makes healthy power figures, though. You're setting at 300 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. And as you just saw with that acceleration, it is pretty swift, that's for sure, and definitely right in line with the competition, whether you were talking about other models with turbo 4-cylinders or V6 models. Especially with that torque figure, that's honestly quite a bit higher than a lot of the competition.
Yeah, and it's a really smooth relay of power. It pushes you back into your seat a little bit, and Ford has done some extra speaker tweaking to give you a V6-like sound when you accelerate. And as Drew already mentioned, you don't get the up-level engine when it comes to this ST line. That is exclusively standard to the ST only. That is a 3-liter twin-turbo V6 making 400 horsepower, 415 pound-feet of torque. And there is a 2026 change here I want to talk about. That is the fact that it is now optional on the new trimmer model, but it is no longer optional on the Platinum model. So if you want that luxury experience paired with that refined V6 experience, you'd have to get a 2025 model to unlock that matchup.
Yeah, I would say I'm a little disappointed to learn that, just because, of course, I think having the V6 option on more models is going to be a good thing, but I'm very happy to see that trimmer, because I think that is really something that stands out a lot from the competition. Having 400 horsepower available in this segment, that by itself stands out, and then adding that to your off-road capable trim, that's a really cool combination that I can envision a lot of people choosing. Yeah, this is certainly quite quick. Now let's go ahead and talk about the other aspect of the powertrain. That is the 10-speed automatic transmission. This is a transmission Ford uses in some other products as well, and we've always been pretty happy with it. It's nice and responsive. I think they've tuned it, to be a really good partner with this engine. It just plays into the torque richness of it and makes it feel like you always have a lot of power on tap. And as I turn around there, I think this is a good time to go ahead and talk a little bit about the dynamic ability of this Explorer. Josh mentioned it on the outside, but a lot of people don't realize this actually has a rear drive based architecture. So that is pretty rare for this segment. Most of the models are going to be front wheel drive based. And because of that, you do have, I think, a little bit of enhanced agility just to the overall package of this model. Now, this isn't the Sport trim. If you want the maximum performance, definitely get the ST. That one, as you can see with some reviews on our channel as well, really packs a lot of heat and can handle surprisingly well. This version here, though, has adequate body control. Like I said, good steering as well with response off center. Now, rolling down the highway here, let's jump into the ride quality. It's a family SUV after all. It's very important. And I have to say, very happy with this. This is our first time behind the wheel of the ST line, and specifically I think I'm very impressed by this because last time I drove an Explorer was an ST. The little bit smaller wheels and just a little bit of less performance tuning to the chassis does benefit your ride quality. So this definitely rides more in line with what the Platinum was like last year. Really a comfortable ride quality. It settles in nicely. The seats are also very comfortable, even when you have this cloth foundation. So I'm liking definitely that all 3 rows of everybody is going to be nice and comfortable down the highway.
Yeah, and I think even though this has the sportier seats with some slightly more aggressive bolstering, they're still really comfortable overall. They hug you in tight, and this will be a great road trip companion.
Auto start stop system is nice and smooth. You can also defeat that if you don't want to use it.
And speaking of that auto start stop system, let's talk about your fuel economy as well. You're going to have a variety of different figures that you can see on the screen right now. You're going to be ranging from about 20 to 24 mpg overall. With 4-wheel drive and the 4-cylinder, we're sitting at about 23 mpg, which is about average for the segment. That is going to be right on par with other 4-cylinders that you might be cross-shopping against. And the V6 model itself is also going to be pretty good, only a couple mpg of a loss that you have to sacrifice to gain that extra performance.
Yeah. I will point out, of course, some of the competition has introduced a hybrid. I think a lot of people will be cross-shopping against like Grand Highlander, which has 2 different hybrid powertrain options. So that's not available on the Explorer at this time.
All right, let's go ahead and grab our sound level reading. We're going to 55 miles an hour. Fan speed is on 1 and the rear climate is off. 56.5 decibels is what we are settling in at for the 26 Explorer ST line. And I don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to all of its rivals. I can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings. And cheers to consistency, that reading is in line with other Explorer models we've tested. It's more in the middle of the segment. There are going to be some that are quieter. There's also going to be some that are louder. So overall, I don't think you will have any complaints when it comes to your overall sound deadening in this Explorer.
All right, let's get into the Slam Dunk and Airball. I'll start with the Slam Dunk. I'm gonna do 2 of them today, and that is this trim level specifically. I think the ST line is nice and value packed, so I see why this is a very popular trim level. The other thing I want to slam dunk is just the powertrains. I like these 2 powertrains quite a lot. They stand out against the competition for both being nice and powerful and having good refinement.
Yeah, and as far as the Airball is concerned, we're mainly just going to say the space, especially when it comes to the third row and the overall cargo capacity. It's still going to be lacking compared to some of its rivals that have been growing larger in recent years. So the refresh model really brought a lot that was new to the Explorer, but we really wish that they would have made this just a little bit larger to be more in line with the rivals. As far as pricing is concerned, Ford is continuing to make strides in this area as well. So we've been talking about that new base Active 100A packaging for 2026, which does lower the overall price. It's by about $1,000 when you consider the increases for this year. That starts at about $38,500 for 2026. You can see all of the trim offerings on the screen right now, where that new trimmer starts at $48,000 with standard 4-wheel drive. This ST line starts at just over $45,000, excuse me. As far as what we do have here today, as you can see on the sticker, we have the 2026 Explorer ST line with 4-wheel drive equipped onto this model with a few more options, excuse me. After $1,695 destination, we'll be sitting at about $50,490 today. And as far as where the Explorer is made, it is built in Chicago, Illinois. Now, if you want to buy an Explorer or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. On there, you can gain access to a whole host of tools that will help you when dealership negotiating. If you're interested in checking that out, we have a pinned comment at the top of this video, as well as a link in the video description. Now, buying a car is much more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. Let's start with resale value. Using Mason's economics degree, we've taken the time to determine what we think is a good estimate of this Ford's overall resale value. After 5 years and 60,000 miles, we estimate it'll be worth about 48.8% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years, 20.96%. Now keep in mind that is on the lower end when it comes to other mainstream automakers, especially things like Honda and Toyota.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several reliability studies from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that gives you the most holistic picture. In this regard, Ford is rated above the overall industry average for all vehicle brands.
If you're interested in checking out our resale and reliability data, as well as our methodology, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a car is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're doing the right research when it comes to cross-shopping between different vehicle makes. Now, when it comes to Ford's warranty, you do have a 3-year, 36,000-mile basic warranty, a 5-year, 60,000-mile powertrain warranty, and Ford does not offer any complimentary maintenance. Well, guys, we hope you enjoyed this in-depth review of the 2026 Ford Explorer. We hope you enjoyed this review today and learning about all of the changes for this updated model. And if you did, we would appreciate it if you would subscribe down below. When you do that, that allows us to continue gaining access to all of these vehicles to get you the newest videos with the newest details as soon as we can. If you're already a subscriber and supporter of the channel, we appreciate your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.